We finally have a trailer for Jedi Fallen Order 2, and there are a few interesting details to unpack, so let's get straight into it. The first thing to note is that Jedi Fallen Order 2 is set 5 years after the events of the first game, which puts it well within the Kenobi era, so fingers crossed that we get to see an Obi-Wan cameo in the game.
Tell me, Kal Kestis, why lead when they won't follow?
We get a shot of stormtroopers marching, with one of them carrying a suitcase marked with an imperial insignia. This is the same suitcase that carries Kal Kestis' lightsaber, which is later revealed in the trailer. We then cut to the inside of the Mantis looking very damaged, and in the control panel used to set destinations for different planets in the first game, you can see the hologram of a very specific planet. Judging by the colors and makeup of the planet, it could really be one of several. But I think it most closely resembles the planet Zeffo, one of the first planets that Kal Kestis visits in the first game. So maybe at some point in time in the game we will get to revisit the planet that started it all, or perhaps there is another hidden clue on the planet that Kestis needs to find. After all, from what we know about Zeffo, they seem to harbor a lot of secrets. In the background, we can see the Mantis crashed on a dusty, arid, and mountainous planet with a lot of ravines. This is definitely a new planet that we have never seen before, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do here.
Why fight?
The troopers that we saw earlier finally delivered the suitcase to a Pau'an seated behind a black table. Now the Pau'ans are a species that come from Utapau, and there have been other Star Wars characters of that species, most notably the Grand Inquisitor. This particular Pau'an, however, is not the Grand Inquisitor. It has been confirmed by the writers that this is a Pau'an senator, and honestly that would make a whole lot more sense. This Pau'an that we see here seems a little too chunky to be an expert Jedi hunter. Behind the senator is a backdrop that looks very much like Coruscant, which would make a whole lot of sense since the Galactic Senate is located on Coruscant. We get a shot of the mysterious character in the Bacta tank, and I don't know if it's just me, but this top-down shot really reminds me of a cell, with the rings of light around the mysterious figure being the cell membrane or an egg that is about to hatch, and this imagery of an egg or a cell might be alluding to the origins of this particular character, perhaps the product of a clone experiment waiting for someone to release it so it can be born.
When you can't win, what is your next move, Jedi?
We get another shot of Kal Kestis deflecting lasers before facing off with a mysterious robed figure with a red lightsaber. If you look closely, the lasers are actually coming from these two turrets on the right and left, and they seem to be surrounded by a sort of energy field, which means that even if Kestis deflects the lasers back at them, they will be protected. And can I say, the entire demeanor of the robed figure with his slightly hunched back and wide stance really gives me a lot of Revan vibes, even though it's unlikely that this is Revan given that he existed thousands of years before the events of Fallen Order 2. I really can't help but notice the similarities. Kal Kestis and the mysterious figure clash with each other, and what is very notable about the fighting style of the mysterious figure is that he has a one-handed fighting style. This is not uncommon for a lot of Sith who prefer to use wide powerful strikes to overwhelm their enemy. Siths like Darth Vader and Kylo Ren both use a very similar way of fighting. So the big question is, who is the mysterious figure? There are a few possibilities as to who this can be. There's Maul, who is still out and about during this time period, there are Inquisitors, and of course numerous Dark Jedi. But taking a closer look at the hilt of the red lightsaber, we can definitely tell that this is not an Inquisitor. Inquisitors typically have a double-bladed lightsaber with a rotating ability, whereas this is very much a standard one-sided lightsaber. This would also rule out Maul, as his preferred style is very much a double-bladed lightsaber, and the fighting style really doesn't match. I think what is more likely is that the person fighting Kestis here is the same person that we see in the Bacta tank. If you go back and take a look at all the different shots of the character in the tank, you will notice that in every single shot, you can only see one hand, almost as if the other hand was severed. And if we go back to the robed figure, it's also very interesting that they only show one hand as well, and this would make a whole lot of sense in terms of the one-handed fighting style. So I think whoever this robed figure is the same person that we see in this tank. Kal Kestis drops his lightsaber, which eventually ends up in the possession of the Pauwan senator, who is narrating the whole trailer, which might suggest that this Darkside user is working for the senator directly. And if it is the case, it will be interesting to see how Vader and the Emperor interpret this, as they might see it as a new threat to their power. We also get a close-up shot of the character in the Bacta tank, and if you look closely, you will notice some lines on his shoulder emulating veins, but giving it a very structured but corrupted look, almost as if it was artificially created in a lab. And in a wider shot, we can see the facility around it has been taken over by nature, suggesting that whatever this is has long been abandoned and forgotten. So this leads me to two possible conclusions. Either this person was a part of a long-forgotten project to clone and create Force users, something which has been explored in the Star Wars universe before, or a long-lost figure who was forced to enter the Bacta tank after sustaining heavy injuries and is now waiting for someone to release him. Either way, Fallen Order 2 looks to be very promising, and I certainly can't wait for the 2023 release. Anyways, that's all for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. I am the Lost Acolyte,
and I have spoken.